And so that's our strategy. We're just going to try to preserve our money, and we're going to do it by betting on the only obvious thing we can find in the world that is not correlate. Everything else is for the most part a fiat instrument, and if the monetary supply expands, it's going to be diluted. So you either got to buy the only Picasso, or you got to buy scarce art or scarce things that cannot be produced, or you buy Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is that scarce crypto asset that's got hundreds of billions of dollars behind it.
A $250 trillion challenge looms large, and Michael Saylor, the founder of Microstrategy, boldly declares that Bitcoin is the solution. Saylor asserts that every investor across the globe is grappling with the same predicament, a need for a secure wealth storage where value remains unaffected by the erosion of time. In a historic perspective, Saylor contends that Bitcoin uniquely addresses this issue, marking a pivotal moment in financial history. According to Saylor, the core problem facing investors is the quest for a reliable repository for wealth that doesn't succumb to devaluation over time. Bitcoin, in his view, breaks new ground by offering a solution to this age-old challenge. For the first time ever, Saylor claims that Bitcoin provides a genuine resolution to the problem, disrupting traditional notions of wealth preservation. As the video unfolds, Saylor shares his vision of Bitcoin's trajectory, likening it to the success stories of tech behemoths like Google and Facebook. He predicts that Bitcoin is poised to follow in their footsteps, potentially creating trillions of dollars in wealth for early investors. Stay tuned until the end for Saylor's insights on how Bitcoin could parallel the wealth-generating journeys of these tech giants.
Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your comment and observations in the comment section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
Bitcoin is pure monetary energy. For the first time in the history of the world, we figured out how to create a software network that will store and channel monetary energy with no power loss. That's a million times better than a gold network. It's better than an electrical network. If I want to hold $500 million of electricity and I put in a battery, I lose 2% a month. There's a 24% inflation rate on an electric battery. You can only move electricity 500 miles and you lose 6% in the first transaction. Try to move $500 million of electricity from New York to Tokyo. Here's how you do it. You take the 500 million, convert it to Bitcoin, send the Bitcoin to Tokyo for $3, convert it back into electricity. And by the way, the magic is not just that I did a transfer for $3 instead of $300,000 with gold. It would take you a month and 300 grand to do it with gold. The magic is I can put the $500 million 30 years into the future and not lose a nickel of the energy, right? That's the beauty of this entire network. It's a network to channel monetary energy, which is the apex energy. Monetary energy is the sum of kinetic energy, potential energy, chemical energy, electrical energy, nuclear energy. All energies flow to monetary energy. We have a software network or a technology network for monetary energy. One last point. Google's an information network. It's worth $1 trillion because it channels information and video. Facebook's a social network. It's worth nearly $1 trillion because it channels social energy. People couldn't conceive of it. Bitcoin is a monetary network. It collects and channels monetary energy. It's a little bit more valuable than collecting all your photographs from a shoebox. It's a little bit more valuable than posting photos to your friends and family on the holidays. We're talking about tens of thousands of billion-dollar entities. They've all got a problem. Their monetary energy is being debased by 10 to 20% a year by the expansion of the monetary supply. They're all stampeding toward a solution. Is that going to be derivatives or equities or bonds, or what is the solution? Bitcoin is the first perfected crypto asset that serves as a long-term store of monetary energy. That's what's going on here. It's an invention, and it's John D. Rockefeller became the richest man in the world because he collected, stored, and channeled chemical energy. It's a simple idea. 99% of the world doesn't understand it. They're new to it. It's inconceivable because Facebook was an inconceivable idea a decade ago. So that's where we are with this. Something exciting, new, powerful. It's the elemental structure of a totally new set of financial systems, yes. Bitcoin's not a currency. It's not a payment network, right? Currency is the province of the government, always has been, always will be. The IRS sets the tax code for currency. You can't use Bitcoin as a currency because the tax code is hostile to it. It would generate 100,000 accounting entries and tax obligations for no reason whatsoever. And so there's no point in Bitcoin being thought of that. Bitcoin is not a payment network. Apple Pay and Square Cash and PayPal and Alipay are payment networks. They work well. They work 1 billion times better than Bitcoin or any crypto will ever work. So crypto is inappropriate as a currency, even though people call it cryptocurrency. It's a wrong choice of words. We should move it out of the lexicon. We should refer to it as crypto asset. Crypto is an awesome technology for creating a scarce asset as a store of value. The $250 trillion problem is store my value. I just want to put my money in a piggy bank in cyberspace and have nobody take it. It's a very simple idea. Then if I want to spend money, I'm going to convert 5% of it to Apple Pay or Square Cash or PayPal or Alipay. And I'm going to move it around in fiat currency on those rails in a responsible, legal, efficient, fun fashion. And let the governments be the governments. Let the big tech companies do what they do best. And Bitcoin is going to solve this last very simple issue, which is I just need pharmaceutical grade, synthetic, safe haven asset, synthetic gold with none of the hangover of gold, none of the bad problems, none of the problems with mining and hypothecation and centralization and corruption, but all of the good parts of it. Like I put my money in there and a decade from now, I've still got it and it hasn't been inflated away. Yeah, you just bring us back to the fundamental issue. In the finance world, it's very rare to be able to buy anything you can't print more of. But in the engineering world, it's very rare to find a machine that works unless you plugged all the leaks, unless it respects conservation of energy, the first law of thermodynamics, and it's a closed system. What we're doing, by the way, Bitcoin is the singularity where engineering, science, and technology smashes into finance. And for the first time, we can finally apply Isaac Newton's laws and the laws of thermodynamics to protecting our money. And who wouldn't like to have a monetary system that works? I think it's important that people of character and conviction articulate the benefits of Bitcoin to the masses. There are billions of people on this planet that are living in a regime where the currency is collapsing. 1 billion that we just saw last month. And for them, this is a lifeboat against a currency collapse. If you're living in Argentina or Venezuela or Turkey or Lebanon or most of Africa, if you don't have this, then what choice do you have? I mean, they don't have the option to put their money with a hedge fund, in Connecticut, right? They don't have an option to hire some professional money manager and convert it into dollars. So as Jack Dorsey said, this is an instrument of economic empowerment. And there are billions of people on the planet who have been deprived of a savings account where they won't lose all their stuff. And so we're going through a transition where people aren't sure what this is. I think it's a moral imperative to stand up and say to people, it's a good thing. It's a thing that's going to make the world better for billions of people that don't have a choice. And, if you're going to criticize Bitcoin, what are you going to do to solve the problems of everybody on the planet that doesn't have liquid wealth and hedge funds in the United States with options? Because it's morally incumbent upon you to give them something to cling to in the event of a currency flood. So the reason we're talking about it is because it's the right thing to do for the world. As for what I think going forward, I think that if your choice is invest your money in bonds that are going to yield 2% while the monetary supply expands by 15%, you're looking at minus 13% real yield as if you're calculating asset inflation, right? So that doesn't make any sense. You know, if I'm going to put my money into equities, I'm going to gamble. I've got to rebalance my equity portfolio every quarter based upon performance and competition and a million moving parts. That doesn't make sense. If I leave my money in cash fiat currency and I know that all the banks are going to print 10 or 20% more every year, that doesn't make sense. So the idea of adopting the Bitcoin standard is very simple. I'm going to sweep my excess cash flows into a savings bank in cyberspace that's run by incorruptible software that has no agenda other than to just store my value for 100 years. That's it. You know, there's no CEO of Bitcoin. No one can print more Bitcoin. No one can use Bitcoin to do an acquisition or a dilutive acquisition. No, you know, no one can debase the Bitcoin. It's a very simple idea. Take your monetary energy, encrypt it into a cyberspace bank that's going to hold it in a vacuum where the power won't bleed off, and then wait. Because in a world where everybody's dissipating energy, John, the rational strategy is preserve your energy. Everybody else is dissipating energy either by trading around or by holding bonds that can't keep up with the real rate of monetary expansion, or by taking risks. What am I going to do? Buy $500 million worth of liquid art indexes? You know, scarce art index? What am I, you know, it's
baseball cards?
You know, put yourself in the place of someone that drives a truck for a living. What advice are you going to give them? Right? Because it's like my 82-year-old father. He can't be a hedge fund guy. He can't be picking stocks to buy and sell in a balanced portfolio with exposure to developing countries and with currency hedges on, you know, and is he going to short the 30-year bond and it'll play the yield? It's too complicated. There's billions and billions of people. They just have money and they want to not lose their money. And so that's our strategy. We're just going to try to preserve our money, and we're going to do it by betting on the only obvious thing we can find in the world that is not correlate. Everything else is for the most part a fiat instrument, and if the monetary supply expands, it's going to be diluted. So you either got to buy the only Picasso, or you got to buy scarce art or scarce things that cannot be produced. Or you buy Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is that scarce crypto asset that's got hundreds of billions of dollars behind it.
Michael Saylor discusses how Bitcoin addresses the monumental $250 trillion predicament confronting investors worldwide. Saylor firmly believes that Bitcoin stands as a distinctive solution for safeguarding wealth without succumbing to devaluation over time, heralding a paradigm shift in our perception of digital currencies and their role in our financial landscape. Throughout the video, Saylor articulates how Bitcoin, much like industry titans Google and Facebook, is poised to catalyze the creation of trillions of dollars in wealth for early adopters and astute investors. His insights present a compelling argument for viewing Bitcoin not merely as a digital asset but as a revolutionary financial tool with the potential to reshape the global economy. Saylor's conviction underscores the transformative impact he envisions for Bitcoin in shaping the future of finance. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these two awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.